Good evening, good morning, and wherever you are. I am so grateful that I have this time with you, and I'm with Becky Robbins. Finally, Becky, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you. I'm in
So,
California right now, and it's like middle of the afternoon in California.
yeah, and there are people from Spain that is almost midnight now.
Yes.
So Becky, thank you so much. We are here really open to learn how this creativity of yours started and well, what do we need to learn?
That's a big question, Liz. Um, I think I've thought about this a lot because I've only started. Haven't been painting very long, and it started. Um, I think. Well, I mean, it's no secret about my history that I was very involved in business for many years, and it was like all consuming. And before that, I was in medicine. I was a nurse before that, and so that wasn't a good thing for me because I'm not the patient care part is like I don't think I can do that. But I what it revealed to me was that I love anatomy and I love biology and I love science and I love, all that kind of stuff now shows up in my art. So that's why some of that stuff shows up in my art. The I think the catalyst for me was that I was always so busy all the time, and I went from that to it felt like overnight to nothing, like from being responsible for several hundred people in a company and people around the world feeling like I felt like I had a role to play to support the all the things that people were believed about me and my husband, and then all of a sudden it was over, and that was really tough for me. And I remember one of my attorneys, I ran into her one day. She had retired, and she said, like, what are you doing with yourself? And she said, here's what I'm doing. And she's taking art classes and Spanish lessons, and Spanish lessons and music lessons and everything. And she said, why don't you come with me to an art class? So first of all, I did everything she said. I took guitar lessons, Spanish lessons, um, which I need to get back to my Spanish lessons. And then I went with her to an art class, and it was like so simple. It was like, here's how you draw a straight line. Here, I mean, it was that elementary. Like, take your pen. You can even do this right now, and you put it here, and then you put a dot over here, and you only look where you want to go, and then you just all of a sudden, if you take your pen, you get there, and you don't know how you got there, which is a very good metaphor, also, because where you look is where you end up, right? So, but something in it clicked for me. And even though it was from the beginning, I'd never painted before, never done any kind of art before, but I appreciate being able to make something from nothing. To be able to start with nothing. And my boards are, I'm in my studio right now, and I'm in the middle of this one, but they're really big and they're white and there's nothing there when I start. And then they just start to develop over the months of time and all of that. But back to the thing about doing something that a person told me one time. I was a very dear friend of mine was dying. This was recently. He had cancer and he was dying, and called me, and he'd been a very big catalyst for me in my healing. And he said, in my healing, my emotional healing of everything that I felt happened. And his wife said, we were sitting, they invited me over because they wanted to see me before he died. And he was a very evolved person spiritually. And she said that there is a cost to the story that you're telling yourself. She was talking about her husband. And I said, wait, hold on a minute. What do you mean by that? Like, what is the cost of the story? And there is always a cost to the story, positive and not positive, that you're telling yourself. And I really thought about that um, because then my friend Herb said, Becky, you used to do a whole different kind of art when we first got together, when we first met as friends, and it was much more free and everything. And like, what happened with your art? And it was such an interesting thing because he said, it's so courageous to do the kind of art that you're doing now, because it's so specific and tiny little details and all that. And of course, that's an evolution that happens. But the story I had told myself was that I wasn't capable or courageous enough to figure out what I was going to do with myself in my life. And so I just jumped in and started somewhere, jumped into everything: Spanish music, art, gardening, exercise, all of these kinds of things. And the art thing is the one that stuck the most. So I'm gonna be quiet and let someone else talk.
Okay, Mariam. Mariam is also an artist. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, well, I feel kind of a bit of empathy with Becky because I used to work with quality systems as well, and very, like in an office, very square, if you can say. But one day I decided to change my life and I started working with paper. I really fell in love with that material. And through the years, I think that all that process has changed my life, really has changed my life because I became more self-secure, and I think every day is a day where I learn. Every day I'm learning about the material, about the way I can express myself. And well, that's a bit about me.
That's great.
So what type of drawings do you do, Mariam? What's your work?
Well, at the beginning, I started. First of all, I live abroad a bit. I live in UK for a few years, and then I learned how to make paper and all that stuff. When I came back to Bolivia, just for coincidence, I met a photographer, and I started a project, fashion, paper fashion, and I started doing dresses made of paper. And then later on I start developing, investigating, the experience and all that stuff. And I start doing some accessories. And now I think that I'm more into art. I think that now I feel more secure and more experienced to express what I really want to say with my work. I work with any kind of paper. I like to transform it. I can make, I don't know, pictures, book folding, flowers, whatever. But I like more art. I really like more art to make. At the moment, I'm working in a project that's called Elementals, and are some figures, some drawings, some things like that.
Oh,
Is
but
everybody here an artist? Are all of us artists?
well, I want you to get to know Diego. Diego is going to tell you what he does, but he's an interior designer, right, Diego? You can turn on your mic, please.
Hi, I'm here. Yes, I'm an interior designer, and I was listening everyone, and well, for me, I'm an interior designer. I'm a wedding planner. I'm a floral artist. So I do everything like Becky and the other people who's here. So I think start a project from the feelings. It's like for me, it's like you start with some person, and somebody came to me, and he said, well, I want a wedding like this, and he came with some ideas, but you have um, to know how to explain uh, in the project how to get through to this. So it's very nice, the finish of the project. When it's finished, the face in the people, their smiles, it's very emotional for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Becky, the reason why we want to get to know more about you is what part of you wakes up or is revealed through this art that you do. For example, the things that you just show us there on your board. What drawings are they? What do they mean for you?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say, since we're all, this is really the topic, seems to be all about art, is that I have had so many people say to me like, oh my God, you're so lucky that during this whole time that we're in right now, you're so lucky you have your art. I'm sure that you've been told that, others of you, and, or what, you know, your expression, like your expression, Diego, all the things that you do. And I'm so grateful for that, because if I were just sitting we're in lockdown again in California. I mean, lockdown doesn't mean you can't leave your house, but it means like nothing's open, you know, except grocery stores and stuff like that. So, and it keeps going, it keeps changing. So thank God I have what I do, and that I started it long before this, because I feel like it's such a gift to me to be able to do that. So that's one thing. My strategy, or the way I work, I can talk about that for a second, because I meditate, and not before I do art, but I mean, I meditate in the mornings. I love things. I love Joe Dispenza is an amazing author, and I love the things he's done. I've been to one of his events, and that gives me a consistency of my energy and stuff. And I believe that people have said to me like, oh my God, what are you gonna do with this piece of art you're doing? Because they take months and months. Like, is that gonna be like representative of this whole pandemic thing we're in? And I said, oh my God, no, I can't even imagine that, because like, first of all, for me to have to then be in that space of creating something that's so devastating on so many levels to the whole world and everything, you know, and then for someone to have that in their home eventually, and now every time they look at it, they are remembering this terrible time that we went through. So my art is not, I don't like, I know some people do, they create their art by throwing paint on the board or something, but for me, consistency, you know, like when you invest money and you have a small amount of money and then you just keep investing that over and over again, you can start at like a penny at the beginning of the month and you have like $1 million at the end of the month if you keep reinvesting that same money, you know, kind of thing. Consistency compounds. And so being consistent is really important for me, to be consistent with what I do. So starting at the beginning, I've already, you know, I'll have like an idea about something that comes to me when I'm meditating. Actually, there's a whole bunch of them right here. There's all these little Post-its. I'm sitting next to my chair where I meditate, and I'll just have this idea like strings of 7 blossoms that came from a Kuan Yin thing I read. Bamboo line work. I mean, there's just like stuff is all over. So I keep those ideas because I respect that they came from somewhere, you know, and then I start gathering images. There's a lot that happens before I ever step up to the board. Then now I've got these ideas, and then I might need to go research something on my computer, like what is this, like the 7 blossoms thing? It was like, it represents the 7 stars in the Sirius constellation. Like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. So that's another thing. So I'll do my research, and then if it's an image that's got a copyright attached to it, even if it doesn't, I need to find like who is the originator of the photo or the illustration, or it might be my own photo, like a picture of my retina of my eyes in one of my paintings over there. You know, there's so many things like that. But then I need to get permission, because I found out that intellectual property rights are a big deal, especially in the United States, and I'm not sure about other countries. So I need to get permission from someone in writing, you know, like they said, yes, I can use a likeness of something and paint a version of that into my work. So, and then I start the painting process. And so I just put one image and then I put another one, and they don't make sense yet. I mean, the one that I'm doing back here makes a little more sense, because I could pull it closer if you really want to see it, but there are like,
let's see it.
But there are like images that now kind of, oh, it's starting to make sense to me, but it doesn't make sense sometimes for months and months. And then all of a sudden, you know, all these images will then start to, oh, I get it. And then they all get connected together by what I call it my line work. But I have a piece of gift wrap that this company quit making, and I wish they didn't, but so that this is closer. I don't know if this makes any sense, but it's also time of day here. I call it my line work. So everything gets connected to each other, which is kind of like, I believe that we are all connected to one another. And this octopus, I mean, this is some of my line work, going through, or these beads get connected somehow, or this line of birds, or all of these stars get connected, or that all, so that my work starts with a bunch of individual images, and then I start tying it all together with what I call my line work. And then before that, I start to really get like, what's the theme of this? The one I'm working on right now, it's kind of like the first image that I put up there was one that it was a black and white drawing done by a guy in the Netherlands, a Dutch guy. And he had a black and white drawing of a turtle that had cards on its back. I don't know if I'll get this closer in a second, but I
Becky,
felt like, yeah.
All these images, they came from your meditation? All of them?
Not all. I might be walking on the beach. I might be listening to something,
okay.
Listening to music in the car. It might be lyrics to the music. Like, I love this one song. I'm trying to learn to play it on my guitar. It's an old song called Into the Mystic.
Yeah.
I thought,
Nice.
awesome. The painting that you're showing behind you, Liz, is that one was, the title of that one is Love is Still the Answer. And that's written by a guy up here. He lives close by, actually. His name is Jason Mraz. And I just wrote those lyrics on there no, it doesn't all it comes from life.
Yes, I understand, but they're great. I think they're great.
Thank you. I want to say one more thing about that, and then I'll let someone else talk. I think that I choose to, you've heard like the phrase, stand guard at the door of your mind, right? Like everything that's going on right now, I'm pretty porous as a person. Like, I think that people who are artists are that way. Like, you're a sponge a little bit. And it's really important for me to stay in my lane. Like if you're driving a car, I want to stay in my own lane, because if I live by myself, and if I dig a deep hole for myself emotionally, for some reason, I'm the one who has to climb out of that hole. I'm the one who has to do it. So it's important for me there's a phrase that my trainer, when I'm working out, talks about being anti-fragile. And I love that, because I love that I'm anti-fragile, that I'm not letting things get me too crazy, because I can't paint if I do that. So, it's really important for me to stay in a state that supports me and not get all nutty about things, which now is more important than ever.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's so important now in this time with all the pandemic and all those things. So it's more important to be in connect with ourselves, and don't let those bad things to let us down.
Plus, then we're influential by the work that we do.
Yeah.
Like you said, people that looks on their faces, well, that all happened because of what came through you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So,
Becky, what would be an advice for somebody who wants to start changing their beliefs or whatever they focus on? What's normally your day like? What do you do? Meditate, and then how should we start changing?
I think the first thing is that first question I said is, what is the cost to you? What is the personal cost to you of the story that you're telling yourself? What is the cost to you? Because I feel like we're a small little group here, and some of you kind of know my story, but I'll tell you a very personal one, because I actually put it in one of my videos on my Instagram page. But I felt for many years, it's been a long time now since I've been separated, divorced from Tony Robbins. And, but I had felt for years and years like he owed me, because it didn't end the way it was supposed to end. I'll just say that. But I was angry and bitter about that, because I thought that, that somehow, someday he's going to have to maybe someone will talk him into it, or I'll be able to talk him into it and say, look, this is what you owe me, that, this is what, anyway. So I realized through a meditation that I did, a Joe Dispenza meditation, that I had the most incredible experience, and of feeling like I was like transported into some other thing. But the most important part of that was that I felt like I was walking past, like you draw a line, and I was walking over a line, and I went outside and laid down on the grass and said, what does that mean? Like, what was that all about? Because it felt so emotional for me. And what it was I was afraid that I wasn't capable of taking care of myself. And of course I'm capable. I'm like one of the most capable people that I know, because I so believe in myself. So I think that was a big cost of the story I was telling myself for years. It was, and your body listens to your mind listens to your body, like, how you can make yourself sick by the thoughts that you think. So that's the first thing, is that I know that. And yes, I meditate. I live by the ocean. I walk in sometimes if I can't like get my brain to calm down into meditation, nature is the best thing. Get outside or get somewhere where you can be in nature. The beauty of nature, I'm curious about things. And that's another way that serves me so much. And the other way is exercise. I have even though all of our gyms are closed and all that, my trainer is like willing to train me in his garage, in his empty garage, and so, hey, I'll do that, so now I'm training in the garage, and I feel really good about that. So I'm, those are things that are like absolute for me.
Wow. So okay, perfect. So that's how we have to like establish this consistency also, right? When you talk about that in one video of yours.
But it's got to be like, you have to make it so important for yourself that you're willing to change your life to change. And now it's the best time ever for that to happen, because we're in a time. I see that you have the chakra thing behind you. So then, I'm on the same page as you, but we're in a time which is actually amazing, because it's all of this nutty stuff is going on, because the whole world needs to change. Everything's wrong with everything. And this is the time, there's an opportunity we have now for things to change. And for us, we as artists and people who are more evolved, to keep yourself in that place so that you can then contribute the frequency you have, the vibration you have, to others. Otherwise, yourself first and then to others.
Yeah, and that's the reason why for me it's so important that you are sharing that, because it's not out of a book or a TV series, it's your life.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm careful about what I watch on television, like what I listen to, what I watch. I'm not going to side of, the news. My God, the news here is like, and you realize, well, someone is getting, someone wants you to watch that because they get paid money for you to watch that, or the advertising money. Or if you turn to a different channel, you get a whole different story, because they're getting paid to tell that story. So it's like, well, then what's the story? I'm going to make up my own story. So
Gonzalo has a question for you. Okay, he's going to turn on your mic, please.
Yes, thank you. And Becky, and it's interesting because even though I'm not an artist itself, but I always tend to go to do some art, some kind of like either painting or playing music on my guitar. When I'm somehow stressed, or something is really bothering me inside, so it's like my way to express out. It happens also when you're painting. I did that when I was a child, or perhaps a teenager, when I was very involved in painting, and perhaps that was calm, make me more calm when I was expressing something towards something else. Is this something that you said before? Perhaps it's something that is in your paintings, what you are thinking behind, what is in your mind?
Thank you. That's a really good question, because for me, when I'm painting, and not when I'm playing my guitar, because I'm so bad at it still, but so I'm still frustrated with that. But my painting, it takes me away. I'm so focused. I have to be focused because it's tiny little details. And if I, another artist asked me recently, he said, what do you do when you make a mistake? Because, that's a whiteboard. I said, I can't make a mistake because I can't erase it off of there. I can't paint over it and start over so I'm careful, but I'm also, my whole self is painting, I'm do that. And the other thing I do is I will listen to books on like books on tape or Amazon books or something. I don't like to listen to music that has lyrics, because sometimes the lyrics, most music with lyrics is like poor me and love, love affairs that went sideways. And so I don't listen to that because it'll affect my painting. And same thing with like a book on tape. I don't want to listen to something political or violent, or it's like my painting doesn't deserve that. It deserves the respect of putting my whole self and focus right there for the time that I'm painting. And I know I can't come in here for an hour and paint for an hour in here. And the other thing is, I call this my sacred space. And when I meditate, the first thing I do is I have a little prayer that I do asking for, who all wants to come in, like every spiritual leader, or like Jesus, Buddha, Kuan Yin, who else wants to come, but anyway, I create a sacred space, and I ask for that space to be cleared so there's no other energy there, and protected and sealed off. And I feel the same way about my studio, because wow, this is an amazing room for me. There's a lot of energy in here because I have so many of my completed paintings in here, and they're all different. They're all like different kids, they're all here, but I respect the so much. I'm so grateful for whatever happened to lead me to painting, because it's so crazy that I was doing something else for so many years, and all of a sudden this is it. I'm so grateful for it. So does that help you?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Becky, there was one person that sent me a question in Spanish, but she wants to know how to start believing in yourself when you are in a crisis and when you are facing challenges in life. What's the advice you would give that person?
Well, thank God I had already started on a spiritual path, like that I was doing. I had a belief, that I was, I used to say this to myself when things were going sideways, in my relationship, and something, we were in an argument or something. And I would say this, like, that I am that which thou art, and thou art that which I am. I would just say it over and over again. So I believe that in my heart. I believe it. So that doesn't mean bad things aren't going to happen. And they did happen to me, and yet it's prepared me for right now. I mean, everything, the contrast of that, had I not gone through that and now have the strength that I have, and that I'm invincible, I'm anti-fragile now, because nothing could happen to me other than losing one of my kids or something. That would be the only thing. I'm not afraid to die. My friend Herb taught me about that, like nothing wrong with that. I hope it's not yet, not while we're on this phone call, that'd be, that would be awkward. But I think that when you're in the thick of it, you need to get, like the friend that just asked that, the most important thing is remember who you are. You're like, I am a version of infinite being Becky, and Becky is trying to, is doing her best to be that. And you just got to remember that. I remember that was the most important time of my life. And you're just going to have to get through it. I think it was Churchill or something said, when you find yourself in the middle of hell, keep going, till you get through to the other side of it. It's part of being a human here.
Wow, thank you. Marion, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Well, actually, I don't have really a question. I really am very inspired about Becky's experience, and that's what I'm really feeling at the moment. I don't have really any question. It's just all the things she's telling us. I think it's very inspiring, and I'm learning about that because I think that the you have to learn. I don't know. I think it's any moment you to accept the gift you have. If the gift is being an artist, I don't know, an engineer, whatever. But the first step, I think, is in some way what I understand that Becky told us to accept that gift, and then later on start working in ourselves. That's I think that's that's the thing. And really, I'm very inspired about Becky on this stuff.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
There is another question, Becky, and this is the opposite. It says, how do you deal with people that look at you and say, "Oh, lucky her," or how do you deal with envy and people who say, "Oh, yes, look, I can't be like her."
That's funny you
Has that
should.
happened to you?
Well, it happens to all of us, right? It happens to all of us because on my Instagram, which is you know, you can look at my Instagram. It's in English, I know, but there's a few little videos I did because people were asking me questions like this exact question, and I was walking on the beach. It was our big Independence Day is July 4th, right? And I was walking on the beach this year, so it's you're not supposed to go. You know, you're supposed to be, you know, like don't have any fun, don't do anything. So I was respecting that. But I was walking on the beach by myself, and I'm looking at these homes that are like worth 10, 20, 30 million dollars right there, you know, on the beach, and people are all gathered and having fun, and I'm by myself and walking, and I was thinking, the thought came to me, and it also came to me from my old divorce and all that kind of stuff, like, wow, it must be nice to be you, right? And I thought, wow, that little video is a good one to watch. But what I can tell you, what it basically was like, first of all, that's so harsh judgment against yourself, you know, that you're not enough, that you don't value yourself enough, that you would look at someone else and be like, wow, it must be so much better to be you. And the other thing is a judgment against that other person, and you have no idea what's going on in their lives. So it's like, I just love so much the fact that that came up for me, and that you asked me this question, because I guess I've never even considered the idea that people envy me, you know, because I don't know, I felt like one life ended and then the next life started, and I started from scratch, you know, and started from, you know, I didn't know how to play the piano, play the guitar, speak Spanish. I started drawing a line with a pencil, you know, like all of that was the very beginning for me. So I started over again. And I feel like, so boy, if somebody envies me, thank you for one thing, you know, and the only thing that my goal for myself is to just keep on growing and contribute my good vibes to the world, you know. That's my thing.
Perfect, Diego. And I want to tell you that Diego, I know him personally, and he was showing us some pictures of the nice decoration he does for weddings. And I'm sure, Diego, people also say, "Wow, you are lucky." Don't you have that
Yes.
problem?
Yes, I have the same problem. And some people said, "Wow, you work with you had a great work, and you work with beautiful things and flowers and all that beautiful stuff, you know." But it's a really hard work, because you
Yeah.
have to get up 5 in the morning, and you said, I'm not that lucky enough. But they don't see all the work behind, you know. But it's nice to have a little bit envy, a good envy, you know. But you feel lucky, and I feel very lucky with I work doing what I really like, and working doing what I really love to do, you know. And that's for me, it's is great.
It is
I don't
great.
have to be I don't have to be in an office with 8 hour work. I'm very lucky. I feel very lucky for me, and That's great. That's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
Becky, there is another question that says, what do you think about people who are not grateful with their gifts? Is that a problem for you not to express who you really are?
Is that two questions?
Yeah, I guess so. That's what.
Well, I think if you're not grateful for your gifts, then somehow they'll go away. Something will happen, and what you don't, where there's no energy. If the energy doesn't flow toward what you're doing, then the magic goes away. So I think if that's one answer. I will always be great. If there's only been one day when, and I'm going to show you this painting because this crazy pink flower it almost undid me the other day because it took me months on it. I just kept trying to make it perfect and it wouldn't work. Finally, I just had, okay, let's move on to the next thing, and I finished it, but I could still be painting that stupid pink flower, and, but I think that first of all, like what Diego was saying, Diego, you're on the big screen in front of me, is that I'm grateful for what my talent didn't come. I didn't just wake up with it. Nobody does. Nobody wakes up being like the best guitar player, the best, interior designer, the best. I mean, nobody wakes up that way. It's something you do along the way. So, but I think that, what was the second part of your question? Do you remember, Liz?
Well, the whole thing about you wanting to really give yourself to your talent, because there are people who think that that's it. If I am not grateful, I don't receive. But people are afraid to be grateful because they think, no, maybe I'm just too like positive thinking,
Yeah.
The whole background of this question was, is it okay to be grateful and why?
Oh my God, I'm so grateful for everything. And also I think if you're trying to, like, if I were starting out with that I have no experience playing, like I've found some people that are doing something called sound medicine with drums and all kinds of various instruments, right? I don't know any of that. But if I looked at that and said, I want to get involved in that because I love it, because it's all about nature and everything, so that I can make a lot of money, now there's a problem. Now you've built in a big, giant obstacle for yourself to climb over. So if you're trying to come up with something so that you can then get to a level where then you're grateful only if you make money from it, you've built in a big problem. So, thankfully, I value my art enough to know that it'll work out however it's supposed to work out. But yeah, I think great gratitude is it's giving and receiving. You have to have both.
Yeah, that's right. Gonzalo, what do you think? Gonzalo is also into design thinking. He actually does this for companies, and everybody's here with design. Gonzalo, what's your opinion about being grateful?
Well, I think it's something that it's inside of you, and once you believe in something that is correct and something like it's helping you to get somehow to heal, it helps. In my case, since I'm not able to do any more art because of time, when I do my workshops on design thinking, that's where all my creativity comes out. And that's when I'm starting to help the businesses or people to get in a new product or service. That's where all my energy goes out, and that's how I get in, perhaps canalizing all the energy that I have inside. That's kind of like waiting for me to share somehow.
That's great. That's really
And
great.
Becky, there is another question. What do you think about this? We were talking about this when we had this phone call. People who say, yes, I use drawings to just take my anger out or my frustration. What's your opinion on that?
I think I know that there are therapists who use art as, art therapy for people that have gone through some trauma or something like that. I don't have any experience with that. I'm sure it's valuable for, I'm not sure, I'm imagining so that it's valuable for people. I don't know what, once again, I believe that Joe Dispenza said this. It sounds like I work for him and I don't, but I read something that he said on Instagram, like yesterday. It was like, your thoughts and feelings affect you genetically, epigenetically, your thoughts and your feelings. So you are the designer of your own genetics. So if you want to indulge in anger and self-pity and frustration, and I mean, a lot of people are right now, and I'm not judging them, because I know there are a lot of people in this country, and I'm sure in yours, just from what you said, who are starving, who are hungry, who are like, I mean, this is an epic battle of light and dark, I mean, this is like crazy. So I can't judge how someone else is trying to let all that out or heal that or something, because it's not how I do it. I can only know that I can't do it that way. I can't scribble on something and expect that that's going to make me feel better when I'm done scribbling my mat, or throwing red bloody paint on something is not going to make me feel better. Now I need to call somebody for a different kind of therapy, because now I'm really a mess. Yeah.
So it depends, I guess, right, on the way they want to handle. But how do you handle the stress, and how do you handle depression and all that?
I meditate for sure. I live right, the ocean is right there. So I get in as much time with my feet in the water, get grounded, get your energy grounded in nature. So you take off your big rubber soled shoes and and put your feet on the dirt and get grounded, so that you can feel the earth has a pulse. We live on a planet that's alive and has a pulse. And if we can just get away from all of the plastic and the phones and the screens and all the stuff that we do, and get outside and put your feet on the ground, all that is really nurturing and helpful for you, more than we even think. So I was talking to an electrical engineer about this yesterday, because he never even heard of this. And I said, oh my God, you have to look at this. Like, you have to have like this, like the Schumann resonance that's like, that surrounds the planet, and coherence, the coherence, heart-brain coherence and things like that. I mean, if you study that, like when you have your EEG, your electroencephalogram that's measuring your brain waves and also your heart, and that's in synchronicity. So they're, flowing together, then that your intuition is increased. I mean, everything is wonderful, but when you're not, it's not. So it's lots of things we have control over that we maybe don't even know.
That's true. Thank you so much, Becky. I enjoy so much learning from you. And Marion, what do you have to say?
Well, I'm just I'm very happy for you to share all your knowledge or your feelings. I think it has been very interesting and encouraging, because many things you have talked, Becky, I feel like I need to start working on them. And I hope one day have the same path in some way, but many thanks, many thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Okay, Becky, if you ever travel to South America and you want to come visit, you have friends here.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you so much. Let's stay in touch somehow. Thank you, Liz, for doing this.
Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.